Hello guys, this is my contribution to the lore of Eve Echoes. If you want me to keep writing this story, then let me know in the comments, will you? Alright, sit back, close your eyes, and enter the wonderful world of Eve Echoes, the Sansha, who became Amar. If a true Sansha citizen has disloyal thoughts or attempt to act against the nation's interest, the implants they have fitted can be used to bring back them into line. The year was YC41. The nation has regained enough of its strength at this point to survive. While the politics that had brought the four empires together were slowly crumbling, additionally, exploration by capsuleers disrupted their operations, forcing them to emerge from hiding. 4 years after Sansha Kwak was reportedly killed, a girl was born. She grew up poor, with a destiny already written to be a true slave, nothing more. The area was called the Promised Land, and she at an early age got her implant put in. She belonged somewhere. A strong nation full of hope, but she knew nothing else. Time passed, and before she knew it, she was fighting against Angel Cartel. She had asked to be fighting the Amar, but she was denied. She can't remember her mother. Rumors claims that Chakara is her birth last name. As a slave, she was the silent type. She did her duties, ate and slept the hours she was allowed. In the army, she was called Angel. She was a real beauty, and was at one time even considered to be a sex slave for a High Lord. That got revoked shortly, after when she got a Sansha rough blade into her cheek. She let that self heal, and the beauty was lost, but the nickname stayed. She was sent to New Eden. She was in an assault squad sent by Sansha. She entered Niaria from a wormhole, and it all went black. Her succubus got 4 medium pulse lasers straight through the front of the ship. She was dead. Not legally, not in her mind, but her body had stopped living. She was dead. An Opux luxury yacht shook violently. Cabin pressure dropping, but the captain found the problem. A Sansha has been thrown through his side panels. The glass was crushed. An emergency system has sealed the window. This was Captain Starsky, a veteran in New Eden. Once a big war hero, but now he was only passing through. His ship was already in line to warp. He did not have time to turn the engine off, and he warped away. He passed back and forth, looking at her, when he saw her head move. He threw himself at her, and checked her vital signs. Nothing. The head was crushed in several areas, and the neck was for sure broken. But she moved. He felt the compassion, feelings. Why? He knew a guy who works with robotics, and he was not far away. He had to do something, because dumping her here would alert the Concorde for sure. The route was changed. A new destiny awaited. On arrival, he placed the body in a cargo container and sent the guy a message. No questions. Take this escrow. Make me proud. Captain Starsky. 22 million ISK was addressed to his account. There was no reason to doubt Captain Starsky, and he owned him several times over. It's incredibly difficult to remove a Sansha implant once they've been installed. After a certain time has passed, which differs from person to person, a true slave's individuality has been broken in such ways that psychological recovery from the process is irreversible. The only way to achieve this is by removing parts and organs that starts to fail. This had to be done. This was exactly what was done to Angel. Once the implant was removed, the problem arises. How would he start her up? What will she be? Her tied to the bed, he started to hack the Sansha clone database. After a while, he found a clone file that hopefully was close enough. 5.5 months later, Angel woke up. She immediately started to talk, walk, and her brain had already grand plans for the future. She was in Amar. She was awake. She was free. The largest of the empires in the world of Eve, Amar, spans 40% of the inhabited solar systems, or so they say. Angel woke up. Wide awake, she moved her hands over her stomach to her chest. No heartbeat. Nothing that indicates that she's a human. With one hand on her bed, she gets up. She does not feel cold, no hunger. Yeah, the bed is still cold. She pulls her finger through her hair, and some of it falls off. She looks at it, just as he said. My body cells dies. She rises up and walks over to the window. Amar. With the universe as its background, the whole right side glows up in gold and silver. Towers big as the sun itself, and moving lights for all the crafts to navigate when docking. She could see a mighty apocalypse, moving slowly past her window. And occasionally, even an omen. Is everything okay? Monan asked. She didn't answer. Her body was still facing the window. The test shows that you're in full control. We should be moving, he continued. Let's go, she replied. She did not believe her eyes. Outside was an Apocalypse Striker, a majestic ship she has never seen before. It was painted in gold, but the nose was painted darker. She turned over to Monan. You own an Apocalypse? She said. Her face was in awe. Not an APOC, my dear. A Striker, he smiled. This ship is one of the biggest battleships available. It has the Imperial Jubilee skin too. He smiled even more. She also smiled, but she did not really know what that meant. But she knew where they were going. And what was going to happen. The Amar Emperor is the head of a ritualistic Arthurian imperial state, and below him are 5 heirs. The Emperor's authority is unquestioned and absolute, but the government makes it difficult for him to exert his rule unless directly in person. Otherwise, the 5 heirs rules in his name, dividing the huge empire between them. This was a way in. Monan knew a guy in the Ministry of Internal Order, and he has also contacts. With a few bribes in the right hand, she might be one. Be Amar. They docked at the Internal Order station, and he told her to stay in the ship. Nothing to lose now. Worst that can happen is me going to jail. Or dead. She smiled. Well, dead was not that bad. She leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. The door opens, and 5 hooded people steps inside. Behind them, Monan glances at her. They look at her and watch each other a few times, and hands her several papers. Sign this, one of the hooded ones said. She did, without even looking at it. What happens now, she wonders. The figure stands back, and she hears they say, Well, she can't do much for us now. You sure? Quite so. One of them shielded his mouth with his hands, and moved towards the one with the papers. She is valuable. We need that information. The 5 hooded men left the ship in a slow fashion. Angel just stood there. What now? Monan entered the ship, looked at Angel. So? He said. So? She replied. She felt uncomfortable. Follow them. Monan leans his head towards the entrance. He smiled lightly. Angel smiled. She did not think it was going to be this easy. But she felt relieved. So? She paused. So I'm Amar? She smiled. Mona walks towards her, with his head looking at anything else but her face. Not yet, he continued to walk past her. She stands still and watching the hooded figures shrinking into distance. But you are on the right track. Make Amar proud. She turns around for a last look at Mona. Just go, Angel. Just go. She did. While passing the great arcs, outside the parked striker, one thought is in her head. Am I human?